Good morning. I call the session of the Public Service Commission to order. Madam Secretary, are there any changes to the final agenda?
There are no changes to the final agenda.
Thank you. Before moving to the agenda, I'd like to conduct a roll call of commissioners. When I call your name, please confirm that you are present. Commissioner James Alisi.
Present.
Commissioner David Valesky.
Here.
Commissioner John Majori.
Present.
Commissioner Jenna Bright.
Here.
Commissioner Denise Sheehan.
Here.
Commissioner Radina Volova.
Here.
Thank you. We'll move to the regular agenda. Our first item, which is a discussion item, a non-voting item, is item 101, case 25-M-0183, as it relates to the 2025 to 2026 report on winter preparedness. It'll be presented by David Mayarello, George Coffin, Humayun Kabir, Richard George, and Joanne Palmentier. Chris Stalicki, Paul Dartmetko, Erin Odell Keller, and Maribel Rivera will be available for questions should any arise. David, please begin.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. I'm David Mayarello, the Utility Supervisor in the Gas System Planning and Reliability Group section of the Energy System Planning and Performance Office. Today, staff will be briefing you on the results of our annual investigation into the readiness of the state's natural gas and electric utilities for the coming winter. I will provide a brief overview and then turn it over to staff for the full presentation. Next slide, please. Before we get into the summaries of staff's findings, I would like to first take a moment to describe staff's review of the winter preparedness activities of our gas local distribution companies, also referred to as LDCs. Each year, staff compiles an extensive list of questions that we send to the major LDCs covering design day need, normal winter gas load, detailed information on the supply stack components, contract information for storage, capacity, and gas supply, hedging practices to limit price volatility to customers, interruptible customer counts in compliance, potential need for moratoria, marketer compliance, and other details that could impact supply readiness for the coming winter. Once staff reviews the data provided by the LDCs, we also hold meetings with each LDC to review its entire plan. LDCs finalize the components of the supply contracts until the winter heating period begins, which occurs on November 1st. Therefore, the information presented today is current up to October, and it is not expected to significantly change by November. Regarding supply-demand forecasts, part of the annual review includes an analysis of whether each LDC has adequate resources to meet anticipated demand and the options available to address any anticipated inability to reliably serve customers. If there is a need for additional supply, the LDCs will discuss available options for incremental supply with pipelines serving their territory to see if adding firm capacity is viable, since firm capacity is the most reliable source to ensure supply when needed for customers. If adding firm capacity is not an option, LDCs will explore short-term peaking supply contracts and other solutions such as trucked-in compressed natural gas, or CNG, all of which carry greater reliability risks in comparison to firm pipeline capacity. LDCs also continue to pursue electrification efforts to reduce gas usage. However, customer adoption patterns are not yet sufficient to curb anticipated gas demand. In the natural gas context, it is important to note that LDCs do not plan for a reserve margin in gas supply, nor is there standard to do so. Therefore, there is little margin available on the gas system if unplanned events occur on the pipelines serving New York's LDCs. To meet demand, LDCs primarily utilize firm pipeline assets along with various firm demand response programs and interruptible customers to reduce gas usage when needed, but these demand response efforts alone are not a viable option for long-term reliability needs. As there's little margin available, despite reasonable planning, upstream supply disruptions can result in an LDC not receiving enough gas supplies to meet its customers' demand. While such supply disruptions are uncommon, we have nonetheless experienced actual firm customer curtailments across the Northeast in both New York and in New England, as well as near misses such as Winter Storm Elliott in December 2022 here in New York. To prepare for and respond to emergency reductions in gas supply, LDCs have contingency plans. They regularly communicate with pipelines serving city gates and host tabletop exercises with key emergency personnel to better prepare for actual events. Staff has participated in several of these exercises in both New York and regional exercises in New England. Even though LDCs continue to explore options to meet demand and practice protocols to respond to emergencies, incremental firm pipeline capacity is the best option to reduce risk associated with supply alternatives. The presentation today will consist of 4 components, which will be presented by various staff of the Office of Energy System Planning and Performance, Office of Rates and Tariffs, and the Office of Consumer Services. First will be a report on the readiness of the state's natural gas utilities, including projected prices, which will be presented by George Coffin. Second will be a report on the readiness of the state's electric system, including staff's review of electric generators, on-site storage, and replenishment plans for backup fuels, presented by Humayun Kabir. The third component will be the electric utilities hedging performance and portfolio in place for the coming winter, as well as the projection for electricity supply bills, and that will be presented by Richard George. And fourth and final component will be a discussion of the outreach efforts underway to inform and assist utility customers during the upcoming winter season, and that will be presented by Joanne Palmatier. Overall, staff's investigation found that both the New York State natural gas and electric systems are prepared to meet projected customer needs for the upcoming winter, barring the unanticipated upstream curtailment or loss of supply. With respect to expected prices this winter, as you will see later in the presentation, prior to 2021 and 2022, natural gas prices had remained relatively low and stable for about a decade. During 2021 and 2022, natural gas commodity prices increased significantly, driven primarily by global increase in demand for natural gas. As a result of declining gas prices during 23 and 24, gas commodity prices are expected to be slightly lower than last winter, but gas customer bills are forecast to be higher due to a number of factors, including scheduled delivery rate impacts, increases in capacity costs, and reconciliations. Residential electric customers' supply bills are expected to be similar to last winter on a statewide average basis. Both gas and electric utilities have also employed their hedging practices in advance of the winter, which will reduce bill volatility during the winter period. I will now turn it over to George Coffin.
Thank you, Dave. Next slide, please. Good morning, Chair Christian and Commissioners. I am George Coffin, and I serve as a Utility Engineering Specialist in the Gas System Planning and Reliability section of the Office of Energy System Planning and Performance. I will brief you on the results of our annual review into the readiness of the state's natural gas utilities to serve firm customers for the coming winter. Next slide, please. Each gas utility has a unique mix of assets, including pipeline capacity, storage, and peaking contracts. In addition, gas utilities have firm customers, those customers who cannot switch to different fuel source, as well as interruptible customers, those customers who have the ability to stop using natural gas and switch to a different energy fuel source during periods of high gas demand. Each of these assets are necessary and used to serve a mix of firm customers to meet design day conditions and extreme cold weather events. Interruptible customers, given their ability to temporarily stop natural gas usage, are important providers of demand response service, which reduces the amount of pipeline capacity needed to serve the winter load. More recently, LDCs have focused on demand-side management to offset demand for gas, including energy efficiency, demand response, and other non-pipes alternatives. As part of its review, staff assessed LDC's respective forecasts of demand for design weather conditions for the upcoming winter and received confirmation that LDCs have both the necessary gas supply and capacity in place to meet expected firm customer requirements. Based upon our review regarding natural gas system readiness for the upcoming winter season, staff concludes that the LDCs serving New York State will complete their contracting for adequate natural gas supply, delivery capacity, and storage inventory to satisfy current firm customer demands under design conditions for this winter, barring the unanticipated loss of supply. Staff continues to communicate with oil industry representatives, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, or NYSERDA, and the LDCs to ensure that interruptible customers have access to adequate supplies of winter heating fuels. This includes coordinating calls ahead of cold winter events. Now and over the winter heating season, staff will continue to monitor supply conditions for any issues that may arise, including price fluctuations and any pipeline disruptions that may occur, along with the performance of our LDC's demand response customers. Additionally, every LDC stated they do not expect any additional moratoria over the next year. Next slide, please. A brief customer bill background. A gas customer's utility bill is comprised of several components. These components include the delivery charge, or cost of the pipeline infrastructure to deliver the gas. The LDCs collect the cost of gas supply through the gas adjustment charge. The gas supply charge represents approximately 35% of the average statewide bill for the coming winter. It is important to note that LDCs do not earn a return on supply costs. The gas bill also consists of other surcharges and fees. The next few slides will focus on the supply portion of the customer bill. As part of the annual procurement planning for the upcoming winter, gas LDCs procure both natural gas supplies and pipeline capacity, as well as other contracts for peaking and CNG supplies to meet the overall firm customer demand.
Sorry, George. Are we on the right slide?
Oh, no, it should be one.
We should be on the one behind.
sooner. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. For this upcoming winter season, the LDCs expect gas supply prices to be slightly lower than last year. Over the past several years, staff has been following the global market for natural gas. The United States is rapidly expanding its export of liquefied natural gas, or LNG, to serve demand in other countries. While LNG exports continue to increase to record levels, domestic production has been able to keep up with the growth. Staff will continue monitoring gas markets and will report on any notable issues in the future. Next slide, please. Flowing and hedged gas price forecasts are both influenced by trading on the New York Mercantile Exchange, or NYMEX, and international markets. This chart shows natural gas prices were relatively low for over a decade from 2010 to 2021, then increased in 2021 to 2022, with the relatively cold winter in Europe and the Russian military invasion of Ukraine in 2022, and then experienced a significant decline in 2023. Prices have increased since the low in early 2024, but have remained within the range generally experienced from 2010 to 2021. Next slide, please. The LDCs purchase gas to supply their customers' winter needs in three ways. This is represented by the pie chart on this slide. The first is by physically filling their natural gas storage facilities during the summer when overall demand is low. This is represented by the blue portion of the chart. The second way is by financial hedging, which acts like an insurance policy to protect against high volatility of gas prices. This is represented by the red portion of the chart. The third way is by purchasing at the prevailing market price, which fluctuates day to day with market forces called flowing gas. This is represented by the green portion of the chart. This data is current to October and may fluctuate slightly before the start of winter on November 1st. The average cost of gas this year is forecast to be slightly lower than last year. As seen in this slide, the forecast supply prices for the upcoming winter is $3.18 per decatherm compared to the actual average price of $3.32 per decatherm over last winter. It is important to note that actual weather can have a significant impact on supply prices. Next slide, please. For this winter, the statewide average residential customer's winter heating bill is projected to be about $1,121 for the entire season. This forecast is higher than last winter, assuming normal weather for this season, but this will vary by gas utility and customer usage. There are a few things to note. Forecast bills reflect a normal winter season, while actual bills last year were the result of a slightly warmer than normal winter. While gas prices are forecast to be slightly lower than last winter, there are a number of factors that are pushing total projected bills higher this winter, including scheduled rate plan impacts, increased capacity costs, and reconciliations due to warmer than normal weather last year. Next slide, please. This graph shows the relative winter heating bills over the last 18 years. Bills this winter are forecast to be higher than last year's actuals. The blue column in the forecast bill, the blue column is the forecast bill for this winter. Note, the costs on this table are not adjusted for inflation. If inflation was considered, the bill for the winter of 2007 to 2008 would be over $1,800 in today's dollars. In conclusion, staff's review indicates that the gas LDCs serving New York have secured adequate contracts for supplies of natural gas to meet expected firm customer requirements this coming winter, barring an unanticipated curtailment of supply. Staff will continue the traditional monitoring of supply, gas markets, and interruptible customer compliance throughout the winter, as well as operations on interstate pipelines that could impact supply, and report any situations that may require commission attention. This concludes my portion of the presentation. Thank you for your time and attention on these matters, and I will be happy to take questions after the panel is finished. Next slide, please. I will now turn it over to Humi Kabir.
Thank you, George. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Humayun Kabir, and I am a utility engineering specialist in the department's Electric Safety and Reliability section of the Office of Energy System Planning and Performance. I am here today to brief you on staff's review of the bulk electric systems preparedness for the upcoming 2025-2026 winter period. At the outset, I would like to say that based upon our review, we conclude that the bulk electric system is prepared to reliably meet the state's upcoming winter's electric demands. Next slide, please. This chart shows the summer and winter historical coincident peaks since year 2000. It also shows that New York State is a summer peaking state and therefore has sufficient available capability to meet loads well above those typically experienced during the winter. Last winter's actual electric peak load was 23,521 megawatt. This was 2,217 megawatt lower than all summertime winter peak of 25,738 megawatt, which occurred in a prolonged cold spell during the 2013-2014 winter, which we refer to as polar vortex. The electric peak forecast for the upcoming winter period is 24,200 megawatt. The NISO expect to have sufficient generation to serve this peak load and still have approximately 9,400 megawatt in excess capacity remaining. In short, we have sufficient capability to serve the forecasted load during the upcoming winter. Next slide, please. A winter coordination protocol is in place to facilitate communication between a state agency and the NISO in circumstances where fuel supply for generating facilities may be at risk, or if a generator owner needs a fuel specification waiver from the DEC to maintain reliability. The state agency involved are the department, DEC, NYSERDA, and DOT. As part of staff's winter assessment, we reached out to major generating facility owners in southeast New York who own about 12,000 megawatt of dual fuel generation capability. The dual fuel capability enables generators to burn either natural gas or oil depending on the situation, which can be driven by economics or unavailability of one of the fuels. Based on our assessment, we expect these facilities will have adequate oil reserve for the upcoming winter. We found that those owners are continuing to implement lessons learned from past winter experiences, including having adequate pre-winter on-site fuel reserves, having firm contacts with the fuel oil suppliers, conducting more aggressive replenishment plan, and having more proactive pre-winter maintenance and facilities preparations. Staff also met with NISO to discuss its procedure and protocols for maintaining electric reliability during the winter period. We found that NISO closely monitored generators' fuel levels and replenishment plan by conducting weekly surveys with generator owners. In the event that an extreme cold spell is forecasted, the NISO has the ability to conduct more frequent surveys to determine if fuel availability issue might arise. In addition, we found that the NISO has adequate procedures to communicate with interstate pipelines, local gas distribution companies, and neighboring ISOs during period of tight electric operating conditions. The STAR report of the third quarter of 2025 just came out on October 13th for the study period of July 2025 to July 2030 and identify some deficiency starting from summer 2026, but did not identify any issue during this winter period. We will keep monitoring the situation. That concludes my presentation. I'll now turn it over to Richard George. Thank you.
Next slide, please.
Good morning, Chair Christian. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Richard George. I'm a Utility Engineering Specialist in the Office of Rates and Tariffs. As mentioned previously, I'll provide you with information on how the utilities have performed at reducing the electric supply price volatility for their full-service residential customers. I'll talk a little about the statewide portfolio that utilities have in place this winter. And lastly, I'll provide an estimate of what the statewide average full-service residential customer supply bill may look like this coming winter compared to the last few years if we experience normal weather. Next slide, please. This graph shows the results of the utilities' electric supply price volatility mitigation efforts since December 2008. It compares the average NYSO day-ahead market price volatility, the red line, with the volatility of the utilities' residential electric supply portfolios, the blue line. Each monthly value represents the price volatility over a 12-month period as measured by the coefficient of variation. The high point you see on the graph represents the volatility that was experienced due to the 2014 polar vortex, which resulted in a significant increase in market prices and price volatility. Even though customers benefited from the hedges the utilities had in place, the bill impacts that customers experienced were higher, but not as high as they would have been absent the utilities' hedging efforts. As a result of the lessons learned from the 2014 polar vortex, the utilities modified certain aspects of their hedging programs. These changes generally included increasing the fixed price hedge level for their residential supply customers during the winter months from about 55% to about 70% on a statewide average basis, as well as maintaining multiple portfolios to better hedge their customers located in different regions of their service territories. The utilities also have the flexibility to shift large reconciliations that would cause bill volatility to occur when appropriate. As you can see from the chart, utilities have continued to perform well at reducing the portfolio volatility compared to the market. Similar to the last few years, the utilities have maintained, on average, around a 70% fixed hedge level for this coming winter, which they have entered into over the last few years to mitigate market price volatility. Next slide, please. This slide compares the last several years of the statewide average full-service residential winter supply bill, assuming typical use in the winter months of 600 kilowatt hours per month, or 2,400 kilowatt hours over the entire winter season, December through March, to what we estimate the typical supply bill may be this winter season if we experience normal weather. As you can see at this point going into the winter season, we project that on a statewide average basis, the typical full-service residential supply bill will be similar to compared to last winter's actual average. Because this chart shows the statewide average supply bill, full-service residential customers should expect their actual bills to differ from what is shown here based on their actual energy use, their location in the state, the utility they are served by, as well as the differences in weather from normal weather. The purpose of this chart is to provide what the statewide trend has been and to provide an estimate of where the supply costs are expected to head this winter season. If it is a mild winter, we would expect the statewide average supply bill to be lower, and if it is colder than normal, we would expect the bill to be higher than what is shown here, although still mitigated by the utilities' hedges. With that said, the estimated supply portion of the typical full-service residential customer bill could range from an increase of about 24% to a decrease of approximately 6% based on current projections and depending on where in the state the customer is located and by what utility they are served by. But again, these are estimates and actual bills will likely differ. In closing today, if we experience normal weather, it is projected that the full-service statewide residential supply bills this winter season will be similar compared to last winter. The utilities have taken steps to mitigate supply price spikes for their full-service residential customers in the event the weather does turn cold or if the system conditions occur that would cause the market price of electricity to spike by maintaining approximately 70% fixed price hedge level for this winter season. That concludes my portion of the presentation. I will now turn the presentation over to Joanne. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Richard. Good morning, Chair Christian. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Joanne Palmatier, and I am a Utility Consumer Program Specialist in the Outreach and Education section of the Office of Consumer Services. This report details a winter preparedness campaign focused on energy affordability, a concern for many New Yorkers. The campaign is especially vital for seniors and low-income households who are most vulnerable to high heating costs during the colder winter months. The campaign seeks to inform consumers about energy forecasts, promote resources for bill management and financial assistance, and offer advice on staying safe during the winter months. Next slide, please. As part of winter preparedness, the department and New York's energy utilities will promote several key messages about energy affordability. The messaging focuses on, 1, the anticipated price of energy and factors that affect the cost of natural gas and electricity. 2, bill management programs offered by utility companies such as budget billing and affordable deferred payment agreements. 3, financial assistance programs that provide winter bill relief, which may be available from government agencies, local community service organizations, as well as utility-sponsored energy affordability programs. 4, consumer protection rules that shield households from service terminations during cold weather and extreme temperatures. 5, energy efficiency and weatherization programs, as well as simple, affordable measures consumers can take to stay warm and reduce energy use, which may help control their bills. And 6, safety. Information regarding natural gas, electricity, carbon monoxide, and storm-related service interruptions. In this report, I will explain staff's ongoing outreach and education efforts to communicate these important messages to consumers. Then I will discuss how we are working with utility companies to encourage them to maintain robust outreach and education efforts prior to and during the winter period. Next slide, please. The department's primary winter preparedness outreach tool is the dedicated winter webpage on the department's website. The webpage contains links to financial assistance programs and partner agencies, as well as digital copies of our publications. We will also use the department's social media channels to promote these messages and drive traffic to our winter page. We use the webpage to distribute plain language publications with our core messages. The publications are available in English and Spanish. Many publications are also available in other language consistent with New York State's language access policy. Through our grassroots program, we distribute these documents at our outreach events and presentations to local organizations. These events range from small gatherings, such as senior expos and energy fairs, to community-wide events, such as cultural festivals and events sponsored by elected officials. Participation in grassroots events provide the department with invaluable opportunity for face-to-face interactions with consumers. We use these events to reach a combination of large, diverse, underserved populations and disadvantaged communities where we can share valuable information and assist customers. Last but not least, we provide training to the department's call center representatives so they may assist consumers with winter preparedness information. Next slide, please. To reach as many New Yorkers as possible, staff partners with our network of consumer leaders, government agencies, and elected officials. We provide our partners with winter preparedness information and invite them to collaborate with us in educating their constituents about these important messages. We notify our partners about the start of our winter campaign and direct them to our dedicated winter webpage so they may share the resources with their constituents. The notification informs our partners that staff is available to participate in events and make presentations upon request. In the notification, staff will also provide a flyer with a QR code that directs users to our winter webpage and can be posted in high-traffic areas. Additionally, staff recognizes the benefit of coordinated statewide outreach program and will once again lead a collaborative effort with other New York State agencies regarding the winter preparedness. This interagency group leverages their resources and expertise to produce a series of winter preparedness, one-stop shopping events The collaborative campaign kicks off with virtual workshops that highlight each agency's service and programs. Elected officials, service organizations, and consumer groups are invited to the workshops so that they can share information with their constituents and maximize the reach of agencies' joint messaging. 2 virtual workshops are held during the winter season, one in November and one in January. Recordings of the workshops are posted on the department's dedicated winter webpage and YouTube channel. Presentation materials are sent to the attendees for use in their outreach programs. During the winter season, the interagency group also hosts a series of in-person winter energy fairs where representatives from various agencies, community organizations, and energy utilities provide hands-on, real-time assistance to consumers. The interagency group's outreach efforts target vulnerable populations, disadvantaged communities to drive attendance to these energy fairs. Next slide, please. In addition to the department's winter preparedness campaign, staff encourages utility companies to maintain strong consumer education programs to ensure their customers have the information and assistance they need during the winter months. All major energy utility companies have programs to alert customers about commodity prices, conservation strategies, billing management programs, including affordable deferred payment agreements and financial assistance programs. Utility companies use a variety of outreach methods to reach their customers. These include educational materials, media ads and digital platforms, events and forums, and working with elected officials, human service organizations, and community groups. Utility companies also provide training to their consumer advocates and call center staff on winter messaging and customer assistance. In conclusion, the Office of Consumer Services continues to implement a robust winter outreach and education campaign designed to raise awareness of the winter energy forecast and ensure consumers have access to information and resources available to help them manage winter energy bills, use less energy, and to stay warm. Staff will continue to monitor the need for additional outreach and education efforts and work with New York utilities to make modifications as needed throughout the winter season. Chair Christian and Commissioners, this concludes our presentation. Staff is available for your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate the information provided today, and George and Joanne, good job on your first run in front of this commission before a session. Thank you. We have a long history providing the winter preparedness report and its sister report, the summer preparedness report. And with most actions we take, both by the commission and through the department, the goal is to assess the reliability and safety of the energy supplies, particularly for this upcoming winter, and to present various steps taken to address past and potential future issues. With that, I think you guys have done a great job of highlighting the various actions we have taken and are taking. It's a tried and true process. I see it's built on robust data and forecasting methods that I believe are developed in partnership with the state utilities. And as staff has relayed, we'll continue to monitor what the utilities are doing throughout the state to make sure that they have adequate sources and supplies of both electricity and natural gas, all with the goal of meeting expected customer demands for this winter. But the actions we've taken and those taken by the utilities to ensure adequate service are far from static. Year to year, they change, evolving over time to meet the reality before us. And during my time as chair, and you've mentioned a couple of these things, this evolution has led to a number of improvements, starting with the hedging practices and the changes we've made in recent years, but also with respect to the supply stacks of many of the utilities, making improvements, ensuring that the most efficient, affordable, and reliable sources are available. These are actions with affordability and reliability at top of mind, and they help ensure that our commitment to those goals come true. And in addition to meeting these near-term needs, it's easy to forget that we're also looking at long-term needs through the gas utilities' long-term plans. and I'd be remiss if I did not mention that that work is underway concurrently as part of this effort. So staff, I know you're proactively working with utilities to ensure that they engage with customers and educate them on how best to mitigate their costs and enroll in various financial assistance programs. This supports consumers' actions related to maintaining comfort while using their energy. You mentioned staying warm, having reliable electricity, and extends to discount programs such as the Energy Affordability Program, the EAP program, which provides bill discounts to all New Yorkers receiving public assistance. But importantly, starting this January 2026, these EAP benefits will extend to all households below the state median income level, which I think is a significant thing worth noting. So as everyone can tell from the number of speakers that contributed to this presentation, the information required expertise across multiple disciplines and across multiple offices within the department. I see this as a whole of agency effort, and I want to commend staff for the coordination and collaboration in making this happen. Thank you for your hard work, and that concludes my remarks. Commissioner Alisi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would agree with everything you say, and not to be too succinct, but I want to thank the staff for your professionalism. We have the benefit of hearing directly from you, and as a result of your hard work and your efforts, the citizenry has the benefit of benefiting from that, as well as we go through and provide utilities throughout the year, both in summer and winter, and it could not be done without the insight and foresight of the work you do. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Valesky.
Thank you, Chair Christian. I want to thank each and every one of you and your staff, colleagues, for preparing this report. It's certainly important and gives us and the public some very important information. And I've mentioned in the past, sometimes it can be easy from a commission perspective to think that because an informational-only item has no draft order attached to it or with it, that somehow it makes it less important. And that's certainly not the case. Not only is it not less important, certainly there was just as much work that went behind preparing this informational item as many of the orders that come before us for us to vote on. It also strikes me interesting that 4 of the 5 of you have completed with today's session most of your work to prepare this report. Joanne, on the other hand, with today's session, in a very real way begins her role in the Office of Consumer Services, and that is really, really important. And I appreciated the detail with which you walked us through your specific efforts. I was going to suggest, but don't need to because you had it in there, making sure we coordinate with other state agencies and local agencies. I think of things like the offices for the aging in all counties around the state, and how important those avenues are because they are sources of information for so many New Yorkers and so many New Yorkers who need assistance. So I know you'll be getting to work right away and continuing the work, so thank you for that. The last thing I would just suggest is to acknowledge, even though this is not part of today's report, but to acknowledge what another report from earlier this week from another organization, the New York Independent System Operator, told us about electric reliability. And that may not have come as a surprise to many in this room, but it certainly is cause for concern and cause for attention for the entire department and the commission. And when we think about electric reliability issues, according to the ISO, here in New York City as soon as next summer, less than a year away, and on Long Island in 2027, and in the Hudson Valley in 2030, according to their short-term assessment, and then certainly long-term challenges beyond. So it certainly makes me, as one commissioner, already think ahead to next May, when many of you will be delivering your summer preparedness report. But also, I know that all of you here at the agency are certainly not waiting to prepare a summer report and have been actively reviewing and sharing, I'm sure, many of the concerns that we read about earlier this week. So thank you all very much for your outstanding work again.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Majori?
Thank you. Thank you for the very thorough presentation. As usual, there's not that much left to ask. I do have one question that I asked during our pre-session briefing, and the reason I'm asking it is I think the answer is of general interest. So this shouldn't be a surprise. In last year's presentation, there was a slide that had a line that said, gas utilities are prepared for extreme cold weather events and to respond to unexpected impacts to natural gas delivery, i.e. Winter Storm Elliott. And David, you mentioned Winter Storm Elliott in your remarks today. You said that the gas system is prepared to meet projected customer needs for the upcoming winter, barring the unanticipated upstream curtailment or loss of supply. And can you just reconcile, unless something changed, which I don't think it did, can you reconcile those two sentiments?
Yeah. Nothing has changed. The utilities are prepared for both design day weather, which is very cold, peak weather, and also to respond to any events that occur on the gas system. And they could vary. It could be a local event, it could be an out-of-state event, and the utilities adjust accordingly and also prepare for such events.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. That's it for me, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bright?
Thank you to staff, as usual. And I do not have any questions. I would only say that, this is routine that we do regularly every year, but as the chairman said, it is no less valuable just because we do it every year. So thank you so much, and especially want to mention for OCS, all the boots on the ground and really making sure that people have the information they need, and so hugely important. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Sheehan?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everybody, for a really thorough and comprehensive analysis. I want to, George and Joanne, great job. With respect to the analysis and findings, I do just want to say I know that a lot goes into it. One thing that you talked about, George, that I didn't come to this session with a question, but sometimes things come to my head. So I know that it really represents a point in time looking forward. So Mike, you mentioned that we have ongoing monitoring that we do, and it just curious what that consists of, and are the utilities required to tell us and report to us if there's a change in what their plan was, if there's some kind of material change? Do we also monitor for impending severe weather? Just trying to get a sense of how fluid we remain.
Staff watches the weather every week through the entire winter. We communicate with all the utilities, depending on where that weather event is to occur. And we also communicate to the commission if any issues come of such events. But the utilities are both prepare for and communicate both among each other and pipelines to be ready for any events that occur through the winter.
And if there is a change in the utilities plan for the upcoming winter, they inform us of that?
Correct.
Yep,
They
okay.
inform us, and we also let the commission know as well.
Okay,
So,
great. Humi, I had a question for you on the electric grid side. In the forecasting for the winter, do we also consider like the planned outages of electric generators? When, a lot of the maintenance occurs in the winter, I know. I'm assuming that's built into the analysis. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And I also just really want to thank Joanne and the team from Consumer Services. You guys are, you are our heroes. We know you're on the front lines. You take the calls. You are, there to assist New Yorkers directly. And I just want to, really applaud the work that you're doing. And it's going to be really important for this winter and going forward. So thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And Commissioner Voloa.
Thank you. I echo my colleagues' thanks to staff for, as always, your great work. I think that it's obviously valuable for us to get this information, but I think it's perhaps even more valuable for customers. And I so appreciate the customer focus that comes at the end of this process to relay to customers what they can expect for the winter heating season. And Joanne, to that end, I had a question for you. Could you share a little bit about what the communications to customers look like? Like what level of information is included? We talked today a lot about capacity prices and supply prices and different drivers of bills. What level of detail is included in the customer outreach, and what is the main point of the customer outreach?
Thank you. The main point, or the things that we do bring to our winter preparedness and outreach events, are a lot of materials and fact sheets going through consumer assistance and other agencies that we can actually refer other people to go. So it's not like it's all in like one room. It's all different agencies like OTDA. What are the other? NYSERDA and all the, even the utility companies themselves are there. So people will come in and they will be directed, if they have to have help with their bill, they get directed right to the utility themselves, and they work out a deferred payment agreement right then and there. We also go to other agencies to see if they can get any additional financial assistance, and then they can come to us, and if they get like a possible service interruption or anything like that, like a whole wealth of information is right there, and a lot of customers come through and go, I'm glad you're here today. So it's very, very informative, and like a lot of people don't know that we exist, and going out there, people leave knowing that we do exist. So
I'd like to also add, Ms. Aaron, hi. Our outreach materials that we create have different levels of information. We do a fact sheet that does talk about what the impacts on bills are expected to be and the factors that will affect, basically what we were talking about here today. So that's on one fact sheet, and that's on our website as well. And then we have another pieces of material that do talk about the programs that Joanne was alluding to. So there's different materials, and then we have a winter preparedness. We have a service interruptions brochure to help people figure out what to do before, during, and after an interruption. And we provide that information to our call center as well. So there's different levels and, different audiences, I guess.
If I may.
Yep.
Hi, this is Maribel. On our webpage, we also have information explaining what the bill consists of, what they can expect the bill to be for this particular billing period for the winter. We also provide the dates for the moratorium that's going to be in that. We have links to the EAP programs that the consumer will be able to go and link into. Those links will allow people to self-serve if they're not already on the EAP program. So those are just some of the layers of what we have. We also have the tips on how to stay safe. We also explain the fact that the utilities may be calling for service conditions where when the power needs to be turned down in order to make sure that we don't lose power overall. So all of that information is on our webpage. It's updated.
Energy alerts.
Energy alerts. Thank you. All of that information is all on that page with hyperlinks to drill down to other areas so that it provides additional information.
And extreme temperature.
Extreme
information.
temperature, the EAP program, again, the billing options that are available for the consumer, and again, the links to the utilities where they can get the information that they need.
Thank you all so much for that additional context. I will say I'm quite proud of the work that you all are doing in New York and that we're doing from what I've seen across the country, not to knock other states, I do think that we have one of the most advanced and sophisticated customer care, I will say, systems. And this advanced notice is part of that. And I think it's really important because when an outage occurs, that's really, or when you realize you can't pay your bill at the moment that it's due, that's not the time that you want to be finding out what programs are available. You want to anticipate the potential and hopefully avoid it and get the help you need so that you don't lose service, so that you don't find yourself scrambling at the last minute. So I just want to again say I'm so appreciative of this advanced work that you do, both to inform consumers about the potential changes in gas prices and how that might impact their winter heating bills, and to arm them with the information that will help them navigate any impacts they may face. Thank you.
Thank you. And while you were asking that question, I just had a quick thought. You mentioned different ways to pay the bills. I'm assuming you're talking about deferred payment agreements and balance billing programs, right? Could you talk to those two a little bit?
Well, on the webpage, we explain what balance billing is, and also known as level billing, because it's different language across the state. We try to provide that in context. It also depends on when that billing cycle begins, okay? With deferred payment arrangements, it's important to know that those are payments that are divided over several months, where you can have a payment arrangement that may be within the billing cycle. So those are the options that are available to consumers, and we want to share that with them.
Thank you very much. All right. With that, that brings us to the end of this item. It's an information item, so we won't be taking a vote. I want to thank you all for your information today. And with that, we'll move to the consent agenda. Do any commissioners wish to comment on or recuse from any items on the consent agenda, beginning with Commissioner Alisi?
I do not, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Valesky?
No comments or recusals.
Thank you. Commissioner Majori?
No recusals. I'm going to comment on one item, item 361, which is 24-T-0120. This is what I'm going to call the Micron transmission line. I'm going to concur on this item, and I would like to briefly explain my vote. I am concurring rather than voting no, because upon review of the case and after 2 briefings, for which I'm very grateful, it is very clear to me that this Article 7 proceeding went by the book, and that the record does not suggest any basis to reject the order. Were we to reject an order for reasons that are not supported by the evidence, that outcome would be arbitrary, at least in my view. I approach this order with a sensitivity about the consequences as they relate to grid reliability and New York's ability to meet its clean energy targets. This is an Article 7 proceeding, which means that its focus is defined and very narrow. The record for this proceeding concludes that approval of this transmission line, the record of this proceeding concludes that approval of this transmission line will not weaken grid reliability or interfere with New York's ability to achieve its emissions targets. In my review of this order, I looked back at some of the handful of past orders I voted against. My conclusion is that they differed in key ways. For instance, I have voted against some orders where I concluded that Section 7.2 of the CLCPA applied. In contrast, a conclusion of this order today is that it is consistent with 7.2, and there is nothing in the record to suggest otherwise. On balance, I think our action here today is in line with an Article 7 proceeding, which again has a narrow scope. So if I objected on these grounds, my objection likely wouldn't lead anywhere. So I'm going to concur on that item, and on all other items I'm voting yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bright?
Thank you, Chairman. And I do want to comment on one item, but first I wanted to mention how just truly remarkable is the number of items that sort of come before us that we do not talk about at session. And other commissioners have remarked on this in the past about the sheer volume and magnitude of, sort of the number, but also commenting on the importance of all of these items that are on the consent agenda, 30 to 40-plus items, and the immense amount of work that goes into bringing these items before us every month. And even though they're not part of the general discussion, just the magnitude of their importance. And as I go through every month, I'm sort of struck by both staff and stakeholders' ability to assess situations, to be flexible, to provide information, to be smart, and to pivot where needed, but always keeping the eye on the prize of a safe, sustainable, reliable, and affordable system that is built for the New Yorkers that it serves. So with that, I just wanted to comment on item 268. This is the Innovation and Research Portfolio of the Clean Energy Fund. It is case number 14M0094. It has a new case number, though, too, which is 25M0421. And what we're authorizing here is the second part of a 10-year portfolio that has undergone a performance review for the first half of its cycle of spending. NYSERDA's assessment on that first half of spending was extremely positive, and particularly in the quality of work we're getting out of the money that we're putting in, and our ability to leverage private capital so that we're putting ratepayer and non-ratepayer funds to work. So with this action that we're taking today, we're turning our attention to the next phase of this portfolio, and I really appreciate the restructuring that's been done, both from the original petition and then also with staff's modifications, because it really maintains the flexibility of the program to deliver in the way that the portfolio already has delivered, while also providing sort of the critical shifts that are needed and adjustments that drive innovation and accelerate solutions in the places that we now need it most. So including, areas like grid modernization, power generation and storage, and then having a greater focus on non-pipe alternatives and to save cost-effective solutions to leak-prone pipe replacement, which, as people have noted, has been a significant cost driver. So these shifts, not necessarily in topic, but in the level of focus and funding, and based on subject matter expertise and the thoughtful stakeholder input that went into, making sure that NYSERDA's petition was a great reflection of what we needed, are ways that are just one of the many ways that I see us continuing to move forward with intention and purpose, even in a sometimes sort of unsettling and uncertain landscape. So I just want to thank everyone, staff, stakeholders, for their hard work, both for this particular item, but also for all the hard work that goes into bringing each and every item to us every single month. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Sheehan?
I have no recusals, and I have no comments. Thank you.
No recusals? All right. Thank you. Commissioner Villova?
No recusals and no comments. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now conduct a call for a vote. My vote is in favor of the recommendations on the consent agenda. Commissioner Lisi, how do you vote?
Yes on all items.
Thank you. Commissioner Valesky?
Yes on all items.
Did you have them,
Yes on all items.
Thank you. Commissioner Majori?
Yes on all items except for 361, in which I'm concurring.
Thank you. Commissioner Bright?
Yes on all items.
Thank you. Commissioner Sheehan?
Yes on all items.
Thank you. Commissioner Villova?
Yes on all items.
Thank you. The items are approved and the recommendations are adopted. Madam Secretary, is there anything further to come before us today?
There's nothing further today.
Thank you. And with that, I adjourn. Thank you, everyone.